Most excellent. Welcome to this expert wellness series. We are in the month of July, and we have the lovely Andi Hess here to talk to us about octopi and peacocks. So super exciting. Real quick though, because we do have some people on here who are guests, I just wanted to tell a little bit about who we are. So Holistix Online, we are a resource center and community hub for holistically minded professionals and also seekers who are looking for products, services to live a more holistically aligned lifestyle, to learn new things. So we offer experiences for both professionals and wellness seekers. My name is Laura Goldstein. I wear many hats around here. I will be hosting today, but we are glad, so glad to have you here. And without further ado, Andi, I'm just going to hand it over to you. You're going to be way better at introducing yourself than I would be.
That is totally fine. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. Um, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Andi Hess. I am a hypnotherapist and rapid results coach. I work with private clients, mostly entrepreneurs. I do have a clinical hypnotherapy background, though, as well as a background as a professor. And so I really am very interested in identifying patterns and in the research and my mind is like that. As part of my journey, I'm autistic and ADHD. And so I've been obsessed for basically my entire life with this question of, how do we get our brains to do the things that we want them to do? I don't know about you. Anybody else why is my brain doing that to me? Hello, I would really appreciate if you got on my side here. That's how I felt when I was very young. I was, 10 years old. And we didn't diagnose girls back then. We barely diagnosed things like ADHD and autism, but definitely not in girls back then. And I just knew life was hard. And I was in a garage sale and found a cassette tape that was a self-hypnosis cassette tape, and it changed my life. And really, I just remember thinking, oh my God, you're telling me I can change my brain in my sleep. That sounds like the laziest, easiest way to do anything. I am totally in for that. And I listened to that tape every night until I was 21. And that's how I found my way to hypnosis. After I left my job as a professor, I went back and did a full clinical program. And now I mostly work with six-figure entrepreneurs, helping them get out of their own way because if anybody here is an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of you are, you'll know that entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development journey you will ever take. And so we're constantly coming up against our own limits, right? Our own patterns, the things that we're stuck in. And I think there's a point at which we know, it's me. It's me that has to change in order for my circumstances, for my business, for my whatever I'm trying to do in this world to move forward. I need to actually be something different, or do something different, right? And so the way I come to that, of course, is with hypnosis. And what you guys are going to get today, what I'm going to share with you today, I'm really excited about. So this is not necessarily new material. This is how I've been working with my clients in the clinic for the last couple of years. This is the framework that I've developed, but this is the first time I'm putting it out to the world. This is the first public description of it. And so I'm going to walk you through what I have found out about how you can get unstuck. And I would love any feedback you have, because as I said, this is the first time I'm kind of putting it out to the world and not in a private session. So you guys can help me figure out if there's pieces that I'm not explaining, or something's missing. There should be time for questions at the end. But I'm gonna jump in because I'm so, 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 so excited about this. And I think I finally have my computer back up. So let me see if I can share. I can.
I might have to make you co-host. Let me do that.
It looks like I've got permission, so
Oh,
good.
okay. Well, I made you co-host anyway, just in case.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so you guys can see my slides, right? Beautiful. So I'm calling this the octopus and the peacock. Why your survival strategy is the key to getting unstuck. So I kind of already did this. I started with this question, like, have you ever looked at your life and thought, I know better than this? Like, where I'm actually way too self-aware. I know why I keep doing the things that I'm doing. I've read the books, I've listened to the podcasts, I've had all the insights. Like, I know exactly what is wrong with me. I just cannot figure out how to fix it, right? That is kind of, we live in a world that is very therapy coded. And so I think most of us are far too self-aware, not it's not that we are not aware enough. And so I want to talk today about, get my screen over here real quick. Oh, you know what, Laura, I'm going to let you, if I'm co-host, somebody else is still co-host with me, right? You can handle the waiting room?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure it wasn't just me that was
No, no, it's not just you. I'm doing
cool.
all the back ends.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, after I started working with my clients in a clinical setting, people will come in with a lot of different problems, right? And after hundreds of sessions, I noticed something. Somebody would come in for people pleasing, and somebody would come in with perfectionism, and another person would be coming in, to talk about procrastination or anxiety or overthinking. And on the surface, these all look like completely different issues. But as I talked to them and as I worked with my clients for a longer term, they all kind of felt like they had this remarkably similar flavor. And so eventually I stopped asking, like, what's the behavior? And I started asking, what is the subconscious thing driving this? And that really changed everything for me and for my clients. So, think about the patterns that you see. And I want you to look at this list and, like, how many problems do you think this actually is? Because it looks like a lot of different problems. And I think most of us feel like we have a lot of different problems. It's like, I have this problem, and 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 they're all just these separate problems. And the reality actually is that, what if I told you, like, this was only two problems? This is really actually only two problems. There are only two problems. You think you have 50 different problems, but you just have actually the same problem wearing 50 different costumes. All right. And I deal with, like I said, a lot of six-figure entrepreneurs. I deal with, most of the people I work with are incredibly smart. They're capable, they're successful, they're self-aware. And that's what makes it so frustrating, because we have this idea that we've been, told that if I'm just missing more information, right? I just need to figure it out. I just need to do more research. I just need to, clearly there's some piece I'm missing. And that's what makes it so frustrating. Because if information were enough, you'd already have your transformation. You'd already be free. You'd know what your boundaries are. You would, like, not have any perfectionism. You would not be overthinking. You would know you made the right decision. You would know you made the right decision. You would know that you don't have to earn your worth. And yet your brain keeps doing it anyway. So what if the problem isn't that we don't know enough, right? What if you know everything you need to know? And the truth is that information isn't transformation. So let's think about the current model, how you normally probably see all those symptoms that I shared up on the screen there. So maybe for you, it feels like this, like there's just a different, everything gets its own category. It's anxiety, and it's confidence, and it's imposter syndrome, and it's burnout, and it's conflict avoidance and procrastination and all those things, right? Everyone is a different expert, a different book. Maybe that's the book I'll read next time. Maybe I need a coach for that. Maybe I need a different strategy, or I need to listen to a different podcast. And it feels like you're trying to organize 100 problems. And maybe even that's how it starts. And then it starts to feel a little bit like this. And you're like, I don't even know where those problems all are. And then maybe you feel a little bit like this. Anybody feel like they're constantly trying to figure out, like, how does this symptom compare to this symptom? And there's got to be a missing link. And oh my God, if I could just figure it out. Yeah. But what if it looks more like this? What if they aren't separate? What if they aren't separate problems at all? What if they're all growing from the same roots? Because here's what I started noticing. The subconscious mind isn't nearly as complicated as we make it. It is literally meant to be the most efficient thing possible. It doesn't create random behaviors. Everything it does has a purpose. And that purpose, 100% of the time, is safety. There is nothing else to your subconscious mind. It doesn't give a crap about your goals. It doesn't give a crap about your past. It doesn't give any thought, any perception to anything other than, am I safe right now? And if I'm not, what do I have to do to be safe? Right? That's the only thing your subconscious mind understands. It's not this big, crazy mess that needs to be figured out. It is all that. Okay. And that includes all the behaviors you think you wish you'd like to stop, right? The things that we think are incredibly inefficient are actually our subconscious mind being the most efficient that it can possibly be. And the reality is that there are only two core fears. You can take all of the rest of everything else, and there are really, really, really only two core fears, and they are rejection and loss of control. That's it. Now, I know that those words mean something very particular in our like everyday language. And you might not even immediately identify with one. Maybe it doesn't quite feel fully like rejection or fully like loss of control. And maybe you're trying to decide which one you are. And spoiler alert, we're all both. So don't be like, wait, I think I have a little bit of that and I have a little bit of that. Absolutely, you do. We're human. But what I found is there's one running the show. So before you decide which one you are or which one feels like it is the most relevant, let me define what I mean, because most of these, again, are much broader than they first sound. They encompass an absolute ton of things. So fear of rejection, by the way, the fact that they encompass a lot of things is actually kind of the point here. We feel like it is a lot of different things, but it's not. So fear of rejection doesn't just mean like somebody breaking up with you. It doesn't mean, that you're canceled online. It doesn't necessarily mean that like people hate you, right? But it means that every experience you have, you are actually self-rejecting. You are finding rejection that your reticular activating system finds what it looks for, right? And so if your core fear, the fear driving you for your whole life is fear of rejection, it means you are looking for that. You find it. So things like I don't belong, I'm not chosen, or I'm chosen last, I'm too much, I'm not enough. Who feels like too much and not enough at the same time? Because like that's me. Like I am too much. But there's times I feel not enough, right? Both. They're the same thing. I disappointed someone. They misunderstood me. I need to have them understand me. I'm going to defend myself, right? But this can also look like, I told you, I work mostly with entrepreneurs. This can look like I went to a networking event and I was so excited to go have coffee with that person on Monday. But on Monday morning when I woke up, I was like, they were just being kind. They really don't want to talk to me. They really didn't actually mean that. That's just what you say in those events. They really don't want to hang out with me. Or maybe you're even just making your follow-up calls and you're like, I'm bugging them. Like they were just being kind, right? That is all, I've been left out. That was embarrassing. Those embarrassing moments, right? To your subconscious, these all feel the same. They're all different events, but they're the same emotional danger. Okay. They are a fear of rejection because, as we know, right, especially in this community, rejection is incredibly dangerous. If you are rejected from the tribe, like you're not getting your food, you're not getting your safety, you're not getting the core needs of belonging, right? Rejection is dangerous. That's actually a dangerous thing. But we don't live in that reality anymore. And, the things that your brain believes are rejection are really not. So this is the first one, fear of rejection. Now, number 2, fear of losing control. Now, this is not just control freaks. I'm talking about every experience where your subconscious believes, I don't know how. Have you ever answered, somebody said, do this thing, and you were like, but I don't know how. I can't move forward. Have you ever even said it to yourself? Like, oh, I really want to do this thing. I want to publish that book. I want to put this thing out into the world. I want to make that video content, but I don't know how. That is a core fear of like losing control, right? I don't know how. I don't want to make the wrong choice, as if there is a wrong choice, which, spoiler alert, there's not. It can also be I have no choice. I can't stop what's happening. Someone is doing this to me. I feel very trapped. Has anybody ever been in a job where they had like a boss and they felt very trapped, right? That is your fear of loss of control. Camille, I love you. Yes, me too. That's why I do this now, because nobody gets to tell me anything, right? Spoiler alert, this is mine. This is my subconscious fear that, is running my life. Although I've dealt with a lot of it, but these things of like, I can't influence the outcome. It's out of my control, that sort of thing. It's happening to me. This is when your brain feels like it's happening to me. Different situations. I can't fix this. Like, how can I make it so I can fix it? All this stuff. Different situations, same fear. So what does the subconscious do, right? If it's being run by one of these two fears, it's only these two fears, it's being run by one of these two. Well, the subconscious creates a survival strategy. Remember, the subconscious's job is to keep you alive in the most efficient way possible. So everything it does is for a reason. Every single thing your subconscious does, every coping mechanism you have, good or bad, which by the way, there are no good or bad. It's only whether or not it helps you act in the world the way that you want to act. But we'll just say good or bad. Every coping mechanism you have is serving a purpose. It's keeping you safe. And that makes it really important. So your subconscious begins to adapt. And if your brain, I'm going to introduce you to the Peacock. If your brain believes that rejection is dangerous, it creates a brilliant survival strategy. And I call it the Peacock. Not because peacocks are dramatic, although I do think they are very colorful and out there. And when I asked my husband what he thought he was, he actually like color coordinates every single bit of his clothing, to his shoes, to his watch, to everything like that. And he was like, "What do you think?" Like, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to say what I think." And he was like, "Clearly a peacock." So it can be that. It can be like, I very much display, my colors, but it's also, they scan, they adjust, they perform, not consciously. This is not, nothing in here is meant to be bad, right? But the peacock is constantly asking, what keeps me connected? Who's in charge here? How do they feel? How can I make them happy? And they're constantly kind of being the person outwardly that they feel they need to be. So let me give you a little preview inside a peacock's mind. The peacock walks into a room. Let's just say it's a networking room because we're here today. So the peacock walks into a networking room. They hug everyone. They laugh. They seem so confident. They look like they have it all together. But their brain is running those calculations. Why hasn't she hugged me back? Why hasn't that person texted me? Did I offend someone? Should I explain myself? Did I say the wrong thing? Replaying those conversations over and over and over in their head, maybe like from 3 months ago even. They're not trying to be exhausting. They're trying to stay safe, right? How do I stay safe? So peacock behaviors, right? The behaviors, there's a really, really key piece here. We're separating the fears and the experiences from the behaviors, right? So your survival strategy of this, the peacock survival strategy, creates particular behaviors. And these are the behaviors we talked about back in that first slide. So these are the people pleasing, perfectionism, achievement, right? How can I be enough? Well, if I get somebody else to rubber stamp me, like, a joke I like to make, especially in this room, is like, I know a lot of us holistic practitioners like we collect modalities and certifications like they're Pokemon cards, right? Like maybe another certification is just going to be the thing. That's going to be the thing that makes everybody want to buy from my website, right? And that is a very peacock behavior, right? We're seeking reassurance. We're seeking those rubber stamps. We're replaying those conversations so that we can identify like all the different little signs and symptoms, of how we might have upset somebody. And the key thing is this is not a personality type. These are not random personality traits. And you don't have all of them. They are different ways that this fear of rejection shows up. So they're different solutions to the same subconscious fear. People pleasing is a solution to your subconscious mind. It is part of your survival strategy. Over explaining, conflict avoidance, these are solutions that your subconscious mind has come up with. Okay. And there's all different solutions. Those behaviors are different solutions to the same subconscious fear, the subconscious fear of rejection. Now, let me introduce you to the octopus. Different brain. One that's less concerned with connection and much more concerned with agency, with influence, with that ability to control. Now, this is the octopus. The octopus doesn't scan people first, it scans the environment. What's the plan? Where's the exit? What's the schedule going to be like today? When am I going to have a bathroom break? Do I have a bathroom close by? What are my needs? Am I going to be fed? Like, what could go wrong here? Octopuses, kind of like me, tend to run a lot of things. Well, if I'm on the board and I plan the event, then there are no surprises. I mean, there are, but there's surprises I'm in charge of that I can handle and I can fix and I get to decide what the solution is. So nothing can happen to me because I am handling it. Octopuses like to be in charge of everything. See those like 8 arms? We're like, I'm running the household, I'm running the like business, I'm running the events, I'm running all these things because if I do it, then I know what is happening. Then I have that agency. Agency is I think the way that it feels that's a little bit closer than loss of control, but the loss of control is that primary fear. What haven't I considered yet? How much research do I need to do before I go do this thing, right? So that I can make sure that nothing blindsides me. This is an octopus. Now, the octopus isn't controlling because they enjoy control. Okay. Actually, most octopuses I know, myself included, are like, good Lord, will please someone else pick where we're going for dinner. Like, please, I do not want to have to decide that again because at least that feels safe. But they're controlling because unpredictability and uncertainty feels dangerous. Preparation feels safe. Knowledge feels safe. Having options feels safe. Responsibility feels safe. And again, this is not a flaw. None of these are personality types. These are the ways that your subconscious is protecting you. Because we already established at the beginning, right? Sometimes we really don't want to be doing a particular thing. We know we don't want it. We know exactly why we're doing it, and we can't make it stop. This is why we can't make it stop, because we think we're dealing with a behavior, but we're actually dealing with a core fear. So these behaviors for an octopus looks like planning. It looks like research, micromanaging, over preparing, difficulty delegating, hypervigilance, sometimes even procrastination, because if I don't start, I can't lose control of the outcome, right? Or I can't start until I have the research, or I can't start until I'm sure. I can't start until I see every single possible path forward. That's your octopus. Different behaviors, same root. Now, this is all incredibly, incredibly good news, right? Okay, because the peacock and the octopus, come back here for a second. The peacock and the octopus, again, these are not personality types, they're survival strategies. You were not born this way. Your subconscious, a lot of it is to do with what you experienced, growing up. But also there are certain things like body traumas or chronic illness that specifically teach us certain things are unsafe and that we need a particular survival strategy. And these are all really good things, because if you recognize that it's really only these two things, and that it's because your subconscious learned what it believed would keep you safe, then you realize that there's actually very easy solutions. I want to be very careful not to say like fixes, because I think core piece is that there's nothing to fix. There is nothing to fix. And most of us spend our lives trying to fix. So, imagine this like a tree. Most of us spend our lives like trimming the branches, trying to stop overthinking, trying to stop procrastinating. I just need more willpower. I just need more discipline. I'm just going to stop caring what other people think. Anybody tried to stop caring what other people think? Ever done that? Took like 30 minutes, right? It was like a quick checkbox task. Like, just, okay, check that box off. Like, don't care no more. Yeah. That's a behavior. And you don't just get to like trim that branch off. Those are branches, but their roots are the beliefs that your subconscious formed about what is dangerous. And as long as those roots stay the same, then the branches keep growing back. You can trim that tree down to a stump and it'll still grow back, right? And this is why insight alone isn't enough. So going back to that first, that earlier slide I showed where, insight is not transformation. You don't convince your subconscious mind with more information to stop protecting you. That is not, it is not going to take that and say, oh, okay, I guess I'll just let you go be killed, right? At least not while it still believes the danger is real. Willpower is wonderful and insight is important, but neither one of those things updates a deeply held subconscious belief by itself. The answer, right, is safety. You're not broken. This is my favorite part, because if all of this is true, then maybe you've never actually been broken. Maybe you have been brilliantly protected. Your subconscious has been doing exactly what it believes it was designed to do. The problem isn't that it's protecting you. The problem is that it's protecting you from dangers that no longer require a survival strategy. So real change doesn't come from fighting yourself, right? It doesn't come from trying to, convince yourself that rejection isn't something to be feared. It comes from helping your subconscious understand something new, that rejection is survivable, that losing control is survivable, that discomfort isn't the same thing as danger. We live in a culture that has taught us that you should try at all costs to be comfortable. DoorDash it, Amazon it, fix it today. You're having a sad emotion, go journal it out. You need to keep your vibration high. Don't get sad. You can't have human emotions. You got to just think positive, right? We live in a culture that has taught us that discomfort is absolutely terrifying. That discomfort in any form will kill us. And that is not the truth. If I told you that every single thing you want is on the other side of embarrassment, how quickly would you go humiliate yourself? If I told you that you have to do one thing, just one thing, that is super embarrassing in front of a whole bunch of people, and you would get every single thing you want as you got off that stage, how quickly would you get up there and do that? Almost everybody I've ever asked that question to is immediately. Immediately. So why are you sitting in your office, in your house, terrified of embarrassing yourself on social media? Or whatever else, right? Whatever else the thing is. Because you've been taught that that is a potential discomfort. And the real discomfort is actually thinking that it's going to be uncomfortable. Right? The real discomfort comes from simply the thought that this thing is going to be uncomfortable. So the answer isn't to never have a sad emotion. The answer isn't to never be rejected. The answer isn't to gain control over everything. Good luck. Give it a try. The answer is to teach your subconscious that if you get embarrassed, if you get rejected, if you lose control, if something out of the ordinary happens and you didn't have it, that actually you're still going to be fine. That you're going to survive that and it's going to be okay. That it's completely safe to do the thing you want to do because you're not going to die. Let's talk about loss of control. I want you to think of the most amazing thing that's ever happened for you in your life. The thing that you think is the biggest gift that has ever happened to you in your life. Maybe that's a relationship. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's, I don't know, whatever. Maybe it's your passion. Was it planned? Did you plan to randomly be late for work and meet that person at the, deli counter because you were 5 minutes late for your sandwich? No. Did you plan to stumble into an event where somebody was just like, oh, I know someone who can make that happen to you? No. You cannot simply, this is the loss of control side, right? The embarrassment was the rejection. You cannot plan for all the things that you want. The best things that you are going to get are going to be the things that are unplanned for. So it's not that you don't want anything that's not in your control. It's simply that we need to teach your subconscious that these things are safe. Okay? That how people feel about you doesn't have anything to do with your safety. That unexpected circumstances doesn't have anything to do with your safety. And when those beliefs begin to change, then the behaviors no longer have to happen, right? The behaviors stop when you no longer feel threatened. And that's why I do hypnosis. Not because it makes people do things, that they want to do in that particular way, but because it allows the subconscious to update the beliefs that logic alone can't reach, information alone can't reach. It's not even something that you can consciously transform because it's not conscious, right? Your safety, your survival is not conscious. So now we'll go back to this idea that as I've been talking, you've probably recognized yourself in both, right? You've probably seen areas where you do have, this behavior or that behavior, or, ooh, I like to be in control over here, or, oh, actually, I really care about what these people think of me, but not those people, or stuff like that. And that's normal for you to recognize yourself in both. Every one of us has both strategies. If you're 60%, octopus, then you're 40% peacock. Like that's how it goes. And those survival strategies aren't playing out in every single area of your life in the same way. You might have had a very particular trauma that, happened at home where home doesn't feel safe, but you feel fine out at school or in the office or something like that because the triggers aren't there, right? So there's definitely nuances to this. So the question isn't whether you have them in yourself. The question is which one is driving the bus? Which one is actually running most of your life right now? And I also want to say that you can have the same behaviors with a completely different root fear. So if two people come to me and they're both, can't stop overthinking, right? And we start talking about it and they're replaying conversations in their head. The peacock, the core fear underneath that is, did I say something wrong? Do they hate me? Do they, what are they going to do to me or whatever, right? There's a fear of rejection there. The octopus is replaying that conversation from the control part. Like, oh my God, what are they going to do about it? Are they going to do something that then makes, are they going to kick me out of the group? If they're afraid of rejection, by the way, an octopus usually will be like, well, if they kick me out of the group, then I don't have control over where I actually go and I have to find someplace different, right? It's not about how they feel about me. It's that I lost access to something. So there's a lot of nuances on this. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you guys at the beginning to give me questions and feedback about anything. We do this in session one-on-one with what your problems are, but there's a lot of nuances to this. And these behaviors can happen from either of these core fears. But once you know which one is driving the bus for you, you stop trying to fix these random behaviors. And I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody who comes in and we fix for my peacocks, right? We do a rejection proofing sequence. And we start with that. And within a couple of weeks, they're like, okay, all these other things that I thought were problems, they're gone. Like we don't have to touch those. They've stopped because now I feel safe. And I didn't even realize these things were related. So you don't have to try to fix each one randomly. You simply understand the strategy beneath them. So I'm gonna reshare because I've got a little gift for you. I have made a fun little quiz. And if you would like to find out which survival strategy is running your life right now, which one is driving the bus, so to say, you can scan this, take this quiz, and at the end, it's going to tell you more about your survival strategy and how it's playing out probably in your life, as well as what you need, like what are those core beliefs that you need in order to replace the core beliefs that you're running. And it's also going to give you the first session that I do live with my clients. So if a client comes into me and I test them and find out that the peacock is running the bus, I give them a very particular first session recorded. And same thing with an octopus. What I'm giving you at the end of this quiz is the first hypnosis session for both of these types. I can 99% guarantee if you do this quiz and you take the recording that I give you at the end and listen to it every night for a couple of weeks, you're going to see a shift. You will absolutely see a shift. Now, this is not the whole thing, obviously. This is the beginning. This is the one I start people with. But I want you to experience the shift that is perfect for you, not the shift that is just generic for everybody, but I want you to get the shift that begins to reprogram that subconscious belief that your brain is running right now. Because it doesn't matter what your behaviors are. It doesn't matter what you think your problems are. It doesn't matter what your list of 50 problems is. That list of 50 problems is your survival strategy wearing 50 different costumes. So go take that now, get your first hypnosis session and see how you feel after a week or two. And I guarantee you, you're going to feel a softening in those two particular areas. And notice, this is your job. This is your homework. Notice how it shows up in your life because it's going to be different for you than it is for me or for anybody else. Everybody got that? I'm moving on. So here is my information to get a hold of me if you'd like. If you want to follow me on anything, all of my social links are at that QR code, everything, all my links for anything. But I'd love to take the time we have now and use it for questions and clarifications that I might have missed in this version presentation. So I will stop share. Come back here. Hey, Marissa.
I would like clarification on if you can do it wrong during your session.
Thank you. Fantastic. No, this is the number one thing that this is the number one thing for both sides, actually. And for my peacocks, it is like, oh my gosh, there's a right and a wrong way, and like I'm gonna get in trouble. And I think that's just so ingrained in us from like school, like the teacher is gonna grade me. And in adulthood, of course, it turns in a little bit more like I want to get what I can out of this, right? But you cannot do this wrong. So I'm so lucky because that very first cassette tape that I listened to from the time I was 10 told me that I could not do it wrong. It told me I didn't have to pay attention. I didn't have to remember anything. I didn't have to stay awake. It doesn't matter if you fall asleep. It doesn't matter if your mind drifts. It doesn't matter if you are thinking about your to-do list. My personal belief is, hypnosis works at the subconscious level. And if you're spinning on your to-do list, it probably means there's something on your to-do list that is directly related to the thing you're trying to solve. And so let your conscious mind be distracted, right? If you've ever driven home and not known how you got there, right? That is your conscious mind being completely distracted and your subconscious mind still driving you. That's why you don't die. That's the state of hypnosis. We call it highway hypnosis or environmental hypnosis. And that's what we want. We want you distracted consciously. Your subconscious mind is doing its thing. Let it do it. So I like to say, if I could write you a prescription, listen to that tape, every night, and just zone out and go to bed. Just put it on and let it run in the background. But there is also no way to do it wrong. So I don't care if you miss 5 days and then put it back on. I don't care if some people want to do it, they have a morning meditation practice and they want to do their hypnosis in the morning, stuff like that. This is actually why I switched mostly to recordings, because most of my clients do want to do it on their time when it fits for them. But I don't care if you don't hear a word I say. I don't care if you hear every word I say. A lot of people don't experience hypnosis as a deep relaxation. They experience it as just kind of a mental calm, and they hear everything. They hear, every sound, and like your other senses are heightened. There's not a single way you can mess this up. Period. End of story. Cannot do it wrong. Yes, I will put up the survey again. Or actually, I'll drop the link in the chat. Maybe that's easier for some people to click.
Sorry, I'm going to ask one more question. Do you still
Yes,
have that first tape and do you listen to it every once in a while?
So I had that tape. I listened to it every night until the time I was 21. And then I lost it in a move, and I had to wait for the internet to be invented so I could go find it again. But I have found it again, and I have repurchased it probably 4 or 5 times and then lost it again in my files. And I do go back and listen to it, and it's super funny because I know that 10-year-old me was being incredibly literal. And there are things in that tape that absolutely did not apply to a 10-year-old that, were like, you're going to go to your office and have a meeting with your boss, right? And damn, is it interesting to see how my brain took those things so literally. And just really random innocuous things like you will eat a giant breakfast every morning. It will be your biggest meal of the day. Still to this day, I cannot function if I don't have a massive breakfast meal. And there's no other reason really, except for the fact that I listened to that tape for 11 years and 10-year-old me decided breakfast would be my biggest meal of the day. So I find it funny. I find it hilarious now to go back and listen to it, but I do still, and it is the most comforting thing in the world to me. If I really can't sleep and I've put on like a bunch of different meditations, I will go back to that one. Yeah. Thank you. I love this. I love those questions. Anybody want to talk about Octopus Peacock? Kelly.
What if
I
you
just
disagree with
want to say these are hard questions.
Yeah.
These questions, like I'm like, oh, I'm so close to 50-50 on so many of them. Anyways,
I know.
Kelly.
Well, that's the point, right? You're both. You're both. So, it doesn't negate the other thing. And I think there's one question I need to go back and update that is a little bit actually unclear. But so far, they've all been I have validated this for about a year now. So I've had my people in the office where I did an original, really validated, two-part test with 40 questions over and over and over again, and then tracked it. And this is my distillation into like a quick quiz you can do in a few minutes. So there's probably a little bit of wording that I still need to get right. But so far, everyone who's done both the real test and this test, the results are valid. So that's the researcher in me, the academic in me. But thank you for bringing that up because this is the kind of feedback I need. This is becoming a book, and I'm doing a TED Talk in October, and I am beginning to bring this out in a more like, can I still explain it well with 20 of you instead of just one of you face to face? So I love you all for this. Jerry, I'll come to you right after Kelly.
I was gonna say, what if you disagree with what your results are? You
You
know
want to tell
me
me what you
well
got?
enough.
Yeah, you want to tell me what you got?
It came up octopus.
Yeah, which is a little bit wrong for you, but I would be interested in, I'm going to go look at how close you were, because this test in particular, right, it won't give you a 50-50. I made it 11 questions on purpose, so it won't give you a 50-50. So if you really feel like that, you might be very close, and I know you know your actual score. But the other thing that I've seen, so this is actually a piece that I totally left out that might be really relevant for people on this call. The other thing that I have seen happen a lot is I have clients who are fundamentally peacocks, but they have had a body trauma or a chronic illness that has caused them to disconnect from their body. There's an entire extra dimension of this. Peacocks experience life through their body, through the senses, through, movement and through activity. And octopuses experience it in their head. Like 100%. I've actually come to believe that they are missing the mechanism that moves things from their head into their body and then out into the world. And it's part of the point of, I have read all of the books on this, and my brain actually thinks I have done all the things, but it only thinks that because it has no way to tell that it hasn't moved into my body and out into the world. So I don't know if either of those things are true for you. But when we've had a particular situation that has been traumatic enough to disconnect us from our body, I find we are acting like, and this language will be familiar to you, I find we're acting like we have an octopus defense on top of the peacock. And so treatment is a little bit more individualized in that case. But that can be, and I do need to build it into the test. There's a question on the test already for that so that I can go back and build it in. Because again, I was validating. But there are reasons why if you come up as an octopus and it feels like it doesn't quite fit, there are reasons that you could be kind of blocked from being your normal core peacock. So that will definitely go in the book. Does that help? Yeah. And when we're off here, I'm gonna go look up your results and see how far to the side you were. Jerry, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Well, I took it and I was concerned because I took it on the phone while you were talking. I thought, oh shit, but is the results going to be there? So I just, first of all, I wasn't surprised it came out what I thought it would be. And I was happy to see that it showed up on my email. So
Yep.
I was worried, okay, now what if I close the phone? I'm never going to hear the tape, but I see it's on
Yeah,
the
so the tape should come to you. But
Yeah, I
there's
saw
lots
that.
of information on that page when you get your result that I have not yet put into an email. So don't close it until you kind of read through that and see how it
Oh,
feels for you.
yeah.
Thank you for
But
pointing that
yeah, I
out.
wasn't surprised. I mean, it it was interesting that and when you were talking, I figured what the result was going to be. I figured it was going to be a peacock. But then I'm looking at the questions. I couldn't figure out, well, okay, this doesn't really. But no, sure enough, it turned out, what I thought it would be. So
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this has been the most surprising piece for me is that I have had so many people that I've talked to who will test, and it's like, yeah, we can figure out exactly why their result was what their result was, even though you can't quite tell. And I'm a research design person, so I love
Yeah.
questions where you can't tell which one's the peacock response and which one's the octopus response. That means you get a more valid response. So
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
very
and
interesting.
Jerry, let me know. I know this is in your wheelhouse too, so use that recording and let me know what you think of it, how you like it, and what
Yeah.
happens for you.
Yeah. Well, I've been going through, first of all, I see Camila's here. So I want to, Camila, the person you put me in touch with, I already talked to him, and apparently we're going to be working together on some stuff. So that was really neat. So I want to thank you for that. And Andy, I hope that I'll get to meet you when I'm in Phoenix, which will,
Yeah,
which will be tomorrow. I mean, I should be there tomorrow. So
I can't wait. Get yourself settled, and I will actually. I'm leaving again, but I'll be back in end of August, so we'll connect
yeah,
then.
yeah,
Awesome.
sounds
Thanks,
good.
Jerry.
Thank you. Yep.
Lisa.
Hi, Andy. Thank you so much. That was really great. And I heard you speak earlier this year, end of last year at HMI on the practice builders. And
Yeah.
so when I signed up for this, I went, oh, she was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One,
Thank you for that.
yeah, of course. One, I guessed before I did the test that I was going to be an octopus, and I am an octopus. And then,
So you're HMI. So does that match with your HMI profile as well? You're an emotional?
yeah, hi.
Same.
Yeah,
Yep.
hi, emo. Um, And what was the thing I said? I also worked in research for a while, and so I love how analytical and how I just love all this. My question is sort of more technical. What platform are you using for this quiz? It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. So I true to octopus style, decided to actually put out that quiz with about 12 hours notice for a talk I did a couple of weeks ago. So I picked the first one that kind of came up. It was called involve.me.
Okay.
And I really do like their editor. I haven't quite figured out all the back end connections and stuff yet. But yeah, involve.me. There's a couple others. Try Interact is another one I've heard really good things about.
I just like it's very clean and visually
Yeah.
beautiful and easy. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you. I can't wait to listen.
I'm going to take this as y'all don't have that many questions about the peacock and the octopus, and I did a pretty good job. That it feels like it resonates.
Yeah, I feel like the animals that you chose are really visually perfect. It just makes sense. And to me, they both have sort of your point. They're the same, right? One is big feathers and one is big arms.
Well,
And
and I spent a lot of time on this because I really wanted to make sure that no, Marissa, you thought you were a peacock. We've thought about this because I thought you were an octopus and you keep testing as peacock. So yeah, sorry. I thought a lot about this because I wanted to make it really clear that neither of these is a problem, right? I didn't want any animals that people could be like, I don't want to be a rat, right? Or anything like that, right? I wanted animals that were both really beautiful. The octopus as an octopus, the octopus is literally my favorite animal in the world. It's got camouflage, it's got, it's brilliant. It's not a problem to be either of these animals. Yeah, we knew that one too. But it's not an actual problem to be either of these animals, but knowing what you are is invaluable. So here's one way that I want you guys to use this. My best friend and I were both octopuses, and as we started talking about this and developing the language, what we realized is we'd be in situations where people were asking us questions and there'd be a point at which we were like, I literally want to throw a bunch of ink in your face and disappear. I want to create a distraction and run. And so we started using this idea of octopus inking. And we would literally, we'll be in like a retreat or something where we're on the hot seat and we'll look at each other and we'll just go ink, ink, ink. And like, or we'll look at each other from across the room and go ink. Like I am being cornered right now and I just want to run. And giving it words makes it so much easier to deal with, right? Because once we've identified that, like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being cornered. I feel like I want to ink and run away. It gives me a really quick way to tell the person talking to me, like, okay, that question just activated something in me, and I don't actually have a problem responding to it, but I need a moment. And it gives me this, we've come up with a catchphrase, save your ink, like you're not being cornered, you're okay. And you can move forward, right? So
I was thinking about how the octopus also, I didn't even think about the ink part. I thought about how it can fit into really small spots and it can just literally disappear. It's just like
it can go through anything it's
and then
fit through. Yep. Literally anything it's speaking. And a peacock too, right? Absolute gorgeous animal. Like nobody is going to be like, I don't want to be a peacock. And it's funny to me because I've had peacocks ask me, oh, why would you pick an octopus? That's such an ugly animal. And I've had octopuses tell me, why would you pick a peacock? Those things are freaking terrifying. Have you ever been chased down by a peacock? Yes, I have, by the way. I've been chased down by a flock of peacocks. They are both they're both really challenging to the other type, actually. And so, yes, the analytical part of me is like, I took so long to come up with these animals, but I feel like they really do resonate. So I'm glad. And Robert, I'll just say real quick again, take the quiz. At the end of the quiz, I've given you a hypnosis journey that is the thing I would start you with if you were in my office. So if somebody comes into my office and I test them and they're a peacock, we are starting with what comes up on that. I guarantee you will have a transformation just from the one hypnosis recording I get. So please do feel free to reach out to me and let me know how it worked for you. Let me know if you have any other questions, things like that. And that's for all of you. So we are just about at the top of the hour. So thank you all so much for playing with me here today and the fantastic questions and feedback. And very, very interested if you have any more feedback after this, a week from now or whatever. I'd love to hear it. And I'll be putting out a book on this later this year. I signed the publishing contract last week. So TED Talk in October and the book, I hope it's out for October, but I don't know if I can get it that quickly. So more to come. Would love any of your questions as you go through it to put into the book as well.
Thank you so much, Andi, and congratulations for your success on this. Your passion for this topic, also your conviction is so apparent. It just like oozes even through Zoom. So I totally appreciate you being here and sharing your expertise with us. We are at the top of the hour, and I see Lisa has her hand up. And let me just acknowledge those that came live. Thank you for being here live. It's much harder to have a conversation when people aren't here. So we do appreciate you being with us. Also, we have a lot of exciting events coming up. This is Guest Access Month, so all of our events are open to both members and non-members. Please sign up for all of the exciting things. Tomorrow is Community Conversations with our very own CEO, Camille. She's here on the call with us. Friday is the quarterly kickoff event. We're talking about profitability. We also have events next week, but head on over to our website, Holistix Online, and that's with an X. We now have to say it's an X, HolistixOnline.com. You can learn about membership. You can get all our events there, see what our members are up to. So head on over there. Camille just put that in the chat. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day. And Lisa has her hand up. And so go ahead. We got one more minute.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you were going to be at HypnoThoughts and if anybody on the call is going to be at HypnoThoughts next.
I still have it on my calendar, but I don't think I can make it. Kelly, you're going?
All right. We'll look for each other there.
If I do, I'll let Kelly know and she can connect us. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much to
everybody.
the Chamber, Holistix Online now. Thank you so much to you guys for hosting me, and we will see you. I'll see you Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.